Good morning. My name is Michael Barber, and I'm president of Branch 25, San Francisco of the Royal Canadian Legion. Before we begin today's service, I want to acknowledge that the land throughout the San Francisco Bay Area is the unceded territory of the Ohlone, Miwok, Hishaya, Patwan, and Wapo peoples. Following the gold rush of 1849 and California becoming a state in 1850, the United States government began the stated process to establish formal relations with the tribal communities. The unstated intent was to extinguish indigenous title to the land and forcibly move people to areas that were not desired by whites. Throughout 1851 and 1852, 3 commissioners negotiated with tribes up and down the state, creating the alphabet treaties, Treaty A through Treaty R. However, the United States Senate would fail to ratify any of these treaties. It is important to understand that both the existence of these treaties and their contents were held in secret until 1905, which meant that for over 50 years, the indigenous tribes of California had no right to exist. Additionally, while the U.S. government were negotiating these treaties, the newly formed state of California passed laws to authorize and pay for the extermination of indigenous peoples or to provide for their enslavement. Today, as we remember those who bravely answered the call to their country's service, we should also remember and acknowledge the people indigenous to this land, their culture, their language, and their freedom, all of which were stolen from them. And now to today's service. Welcome to our 4th annual Commemoration Day virtual service. This service began as a way to re-engage in the Canadian community in the Bay Area during the early months of the pandemic, following the cancellation of many of our regular in-person remembrance activities. However, as a U.S. branch of the Royal Canadian Legion, many of our members are located outside of the Bay Area, throughout California, as well as many who live in several other states throughout the Western United States and even in Mexico. In an effort to engage all of our members with the opportunity to both attend and participate in our activities, we have continued this virtual service. For Newfoundlanders and Labradorians, the 1st of July is not just a time to celebrate Canada Day, but also a time when we remember the tragic events of July 1st, 1916 and the Battle of Beaumont-Hamel. Originally designated as Commemoration Day, but more commonly known throughout the province as Memorial Day, as you'll hear throughout the event. Like our previous services, we have reached out to a variety of Newfoundlanders and Labradorians and Canadians from coast to coast to coast to provide an informative program of remembrance that showcases the talent of our province and country. We begin today's service with the singing of the Ode to Newfoundland. This particular version of the Ode is a recording from Memorial University of Newfoundland television. In particular, the introduction to a show they used to air called Playback, which was a service provided by the university beginning in 1978, where residents could call into Memorial and ask that any one of Memorial's 1,000 titles in their collection be played again or played back. In less than 2.5 years, the university had fulfilled over 10,000 requests when the first service eventually ceased in 1981.
When sun rays cry, pine-clad hills and summer spreads around, when silver voices tune thy rills, we love thee, smiling land. We love thee, we love thee. We love thee, windswept land. We love thee, we love thee, we love thee, windswept land. As love the Father, so we love, where once they stood we stand. Their prayer we raise to heaven above, God guard thee, Newfoundland. God guard thee, God guard thee, God guard thee, Newfoundland.
Those of you who attended last year's virtual service will recall that Memorial University College was founded in 1925 as a tribute to the Newfoundlanders who had served or died during the First World War, hence the name Memorial. At this time, I'd ask Dr. Neil Bose, President and Vice-Chancellor pro tempore of Memorial University, to say a few words.
In the dark days following the devastation of the First World War, there was a desire in Newfoundland and Labrador to look forward and build a better future. The founders of Memorial University reached across denominational lines to raise an institution of higher learning, one to honour the sacrifice of those who were lost and those who returned. A university to be a living memorial, one to hold a special responsibility to the people of Newfoundland and Labrador. Since our humble beginnings in 1925, our alumni have built this province, first as teachers and later as engineers, medical professionals, business leaders and artists, just to name a few. As Memorial approaches its 100th anniversary, our reach and influence has grown exponentially, now with national and international impact that resonates more loudly every day with ongoing conflicts in many countries. We are a living memorial, and from this distinct origin we have inherited a responsibility to remember and commemorate those who served and continue to serve worldwide. They went to war to secure a better tomorrow for generations that would follow. At Memorial, we strive to do the same in their honour and a hope that we can build a better and more peaceful future for all.
Thank you, Dr. Bose. Next, I'd like to ask Captain Chris Miller, CD, Director of Music for the Royal Newfoundland Regiment Band, to introduce a collaboration between the regiment's band and well-known Newfoundland singer Alan Doyle.
Written in 2019 by Alan Doyle and Corey Tetford and arranged for concert band by myself, Into the Arms of Home was released for the 225th anniversary of the Royal Newfoundland Regiment. Its lyrics and melody are in a Newfoundland folk style that speak about the connection of soldiers in far-off battlefields and their loved ones through song. I hope that this recording and this video helps in your remembrance of our fallen soldiers.
When do you leave?
Friday morning.
How's your mom doing?
She's fine. It's hard knowing she'll be here by herself, but she understands. I'm really gonna miss home.
This is just a meadow, like so many that you know. So just sing me a song when the fields are in flower, and I'll never lie here alone. Love will bring me across the water and into the arms of home, into the arms of home. Weep not for me in summer, nor the winter, spring, or fall, for I've seen my share of sorrow when I was standing tall, and tears will get me nowhere I've not already known, but a melody can move me ever closer on to home. Sing me a song when the fields are in flower, and I'll never lie here alone. Love will bring me across the water and into the arms of home, into the arms of home. Oh, sing me a song when the fields are in flower, and I'll never lie here alone. For love will bring me across the water and into the arms of home, into the arms of home. Home, home, into the arms of home. Home, home, into the arms of home. Home, into the arms of home. Home, into the arms of home.
Thank you, Captain Miller and the Royal Newfoundland Regiment Band. While Newfoundland and Labrador only joined Canada in 1949, the history of the Royal Newfoundland Regiment dates back to April 25th, 1795, as part of the British Army. Prior to Confederation, the regiment was stationed in Quebec and Ontario, particularly during the War of 1812, something that's actually commemorated with this statue in downtown Toronto. At present, there are 2 battalions of the Royal Newfoundland Regiment who, along with 32 other regular force and primary reserve units in Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and Prince Edward Island, and the rest of Newfoundland and Labrador, make up the 5th Canadian Division of the Canadian Army. In each of our 3 previous Commemoration Day virtual services, I've had the privilege to ask an old friend of mine, the Honourable Steve Crocker, the Minister of Tourism, Culture, Arts, Recreation, to speak at this event. However, this year, I'm particularly excited to ask the Premier of the province, Dr. Andrew Furey, to bring some words on behalf of the Government of Newfoundland and Labrador.
As Premier of Newfoundland and Labrador, July 1st, or Memorial Day as it's known here, is a solemn anniversary. The day commemorates the incredible bravery and sacrifices of the members of the Newfoundland Regiment on that first day of the Battle of the Somme. In less than a half an hour, 86% of the regiment were killed, wounded, or missing. As Field Marshal Sir Douglas Haig said, Newfoundland may well be proud of her sons. The heroism and devotion to duty they displayed on July 1st has never been surpassed. Please convey my deep sympathy and that of the whole of our armies in France in the loss of the brave officers and men who have fallen for the Empire, and our admiration for their heroic conduct. Their efforts contributed to our success, and their example will live. That courage they displayed, that resilience, has been the mark of Newfoundlanders and Labradorians throughout history, and remains so to this day. Away from their families and homes, against formidable foes, the Newfoundland Regiment continued to persevere. This, of course, led to the regiment being awarded the title Royal in 1917, in recognition of its exceptional service and sacrifice. Of course, many of those who served never came home. We often speak of the lost generation of Newfoundlanders and Labradorians and the impact that loss had here at home. Next year, we look forward to formally acknowledging those who never returned with the repatriation of the unknown Newfoundland soldier. 2024 also marks the centennial for the National War Memorial in St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador. And I hope you can join us next July 1st to commemorate that significant and solemn anniversary. Thank you.
Thank you, Premier Furey. While the poppy is an international symbol of remembrance and the official symbol for the Royal Canadian Legion, for Newfoundlanders and Labradorians, we often think of the forget-me-not as our symbol of remembrance. The forget-me-not first gained popularity in the 1920s, when the Great War Veterans Association of Newfoundland adopted the flower for its annual Commemoration Day fundraiser. In recognition of this special connection, in 2016, to mark the 100th anniversary of the Battle of Beaumont-Hamel, the Royal Canadian Legion gave Legionnaires in Newfoundland and Labrador special permission to wear the forget-me-not on their uniforms. As a part of this year's service, our U.S. Naval Sea Cadet Corps Arkansas Division will read the lyrics of the legendary Newfoundland folk singer Bud Davidge's song, Little Blue Forget-Me-Not. This reading will be followed by Comrade Ron Davidson, Commander of the Royal Canadian Legion International Western U.S. Zone, who will read the Act of Remembrance.
The Little Blue Forget-Me-Not by Bud Davidge. Better than the best from the beginning, since 1812 with Isaac Rock. Long before the graves were red with poppies, they wore the blue forget-me-not.
Graveyards full of heroes fallen, and stones that bear no soldiers' names, whose souls to heaven long departed, their praises sung at Menon's gate.
Were the words of John McQueen still echo, in Passchendaele where the blood ran deep, they had gunfire o'er the fields of Flanders, they died in droves round the town of Wybreast.
Forget me not, wee flower of beauty, your royal symbol proudly stands, blue as the loyal men that wore them, far from their homes in Newfoundland.
On Hamel's grass the sheep are grazing, where trenches overgrown now lie, in stillness round the tree of danger, in France's blue and cloudless sky.
Where the caribou stands ever watchful, or Vimy where our young men fought, in memory of those valiant comrades who wore the blue forget-me-not.
Now days on end alone they slumber, in Hamel, Monchy, and Somme. Beneath the flowers and small birds singing, rest their blue forget-me-not.
Forget-me-not, blue tiny blossom, grows wild where loyalty is proud, undaunted by Atlantic fury, bred like the blue forget-me-not.
forget-me-not, blue tiny blossom, long may you grow in soldiers' graves, and with the scarlet of the poppy, remind us of the loyal and brave, lest we forget the price they paid.
They shall grow not old, as we who are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the year condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. We will remember them.
Thank you to our cadets and Commander Davidson. While it is common for branches of the Royal Canadian Legion to sponsor a cadet corps, the U.S. Naval Sea Cadet Corps Arkansas Division are the only non-Canadian group of cadets to be sponsored by a branch of the Royal Canadian Legion, something that was put into place 28 years ago here in the Bay Area. Next, I would like to invite the Honorable Lawrence MacAulay, Minister of Veterans Affairs, to say a few words on behalf of the Government of Canada.
I'm Lawrence MacAulay, Canada's Minister of Veterans Affairs, and today I solemnly join the people of Newfoundland and Labrador in remembering those who gave so much to protect the peace and freedom that we still enjoy today. On July the 1st, 1916, more than 800 Newfoundlanders rushed from their trenches at Beaumont-Hamel, France, ready to fight on the first day of the Battle of the Somme. Only 68 were able to answer roll call the next day. The outcome was catastrophic for the Allies, but nowhere were these horrific losses felt more profoundly than at home. The tragic story of Beaumont-Hamel touched almost every family. That's why for Newfoundland and Labrador, the 1st of July is not just Canada Day, but Memorial Day too, lest we forget.
Thank you, Minister MacAulay. For our final musical selection today, I'd like to ask the Ennis Sisters to introduce their moving piece entitled Sing You Home. The song will be followed by a closing prayer led by our branch vice president and today our acting chaplain, Dennis Edmondson.
Hi, we're the Ennis Sisters and we are honored to be here today to take part in the Memorial Day service for the San Francisco branch of the Royal Canadian Legion. I wrote this song with Mark Murphy and it was used to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the Battle of Beaumont-Hamel, which is a very tragic part of our Newfoundland and Labrador history. And we were also invited to sing this song in France to commemorate the 75th anniversary of D-Day on Juno Beach. And as you can imagine, it was a very profound moment for the three of us.
It was. And so we'd like to sing this song now. It's called Sing You Home.
Too soon to leave this earth. How could all your work be done? Ash to ash and dust to dust. Seemed to me you'd just begun. When grief invades my soul, there's comfort in a prayer I find. Though these candles honor you, they burn for those you left behind. I'll sing for you because I need to. Right now this is all I know. I'll sing so we will
Generations one by one, ash to ash and dust to dust. There is nothing left undone. I'll sing for you because I need to. Right now this is all I know. I'll sing so we will not forget you. I will sing you home. I will sing you home. I'll sing for you because I need to. Right now this is all I know. I'll sing so we will not forget you. I will sing you home. I will sing you home. I will sing you home. I will sing you
Today we remember and pay our respects to those comrades whose death we mourn and whose spirit still lives. May we strive to promote unity and the spirit of comradeship, never forgetting the solemn obligation we have assumed as members of the Royal Canadian Legion. And remembering them, may we ever pray, Lord God of hosts, be with us yet, lest we forget. Lest we forget.
Thank you, Maureen, Karen, and Teresa, as well as Comrade Edmondson. We close our service today with a unique rendition of O Canada that was prepared by the Newfoundland and Labrador Tourism Department. This brings us to the end of today's service. I want to thank you for attending. For those in attendance who may be unfamiliar with the Battle of Beaumont-Hamel, we end each of our Commemoration Day virtual services with a 5-minute video from Legion Magazine's Military Moments series. This particular one was narrated by Newfoundlander Gordon Pinson and produced as part of the 100th anniversary of various Canadian milestones of World War I. Before that moment begins, I'd once again thank all of those who contributed to today's service. While I've been providing individual thanks following each portion of the service, I would be remiss if I did not mention my comrades in Branch 25 of the Royal Canadian Legion, members of our United States Naval Sea Cadet Corps, Arkansas Division. Our branch, in fact, would not be able to undertake the activities that we do year to year without the involvement and support of our cadets, and we are truly thankful for their efforts. I'd also like to once again extend thanks to various individuals who helped make this virtual service today. Remarks provided by Dr. Bose, Premier Furey, Minister MacAulay, as well as the members of their staff that facilitated these remarks. The beautiful musical numbers from Alan Doyle and the Royal Newfoundland Regiment, as well as Maureen, Karen, and Teresa of the Ennis Sisters, as well as their teams who made these contributions possible. While you've seen and heard from over a dozen folks in today's service, this represents only a small number of the people behind the scenes who help make these contributions happen. And we sincerely thank all of those individuals for their effort. Finally, thank you for joining today for the live stream or for watching this recording on YouTube. I hope that you have an enjoyable remainder of your Canada Day, regardless if you're joining the Digital Moose Lounge at Huddard Park or up in the Sacramento area at the Canada Day celebration in Rancho Cordova A. Maybe you're attending the Sorry Not Sorry event being put off by our colleagues in the Canadians Abroad in Southern California, or you're coming together with other expats in the San Diego area at the Stout Public House. Wherever you happen to be joining us today, I wish you and all of your friends a happy Canada Day.
Take me back to dear old Blighty, put me on the train for London town. Take me over there, drop me anywhere, Birmingham, Leeds or Manchester, well I don't care. I should love to see my best girl, hustling up the gang we soon should be. Italy, Italy, I see, hurry me home to Blighty, Blighty is the place for me.
July 1st, 1916, marked the first day of the Battle of the Somme, an offensive against Germany by British and French forces on both sides of France's Somme River during the First World War. The village of Beaumont-Hamel was just behind German lines. The offensive there started at 6 a.m. with an hour-long artillery bombardment of German positions. At 7:20, 10 minutes before 0 hour, 18,000 kilograms of explosives were detonated in a tunnel dug under the Hawthorne Ridge Redoubt, an important German stronghold west of the village. The explosion alerted the Germans to the attack and gave them time to man their defenses and arm their weapons. The Newfoundland Regiment and the rest of the 88th Brigade waited back in St. John's Road, a reserve trench with dugouts that protected them against German shells. The Newfoundlanders' mission was to go forward, but they walked into a complete disaster. At 8:45, the Newfoundland Regiment was ordered to move on the enemy, but the trenches were choked with dead and wounded from 2 earlier waves of attack. So the Newfoundlanders didn't use the trenches. They got up on top and simply walked over open ground. Some 780 men swarmed over the battlefield, weaving their way through the zigzag gaps in the British wire before reaching no man's land. They were the only ones moving on the battlefield, and they were silhouetted on the horizon. Every German gun in the area was trained on them. Machine guns cut through the Newfoundlanders like cordwood. Many fell before reaching their own front line. A few made it to a clump of shell-blasted trees where the Danger Tree Memorial stands today. But most were struck by guns trained on the gaps in the wire. The Newfoundland Regiment was decimated in a matter of minutes. The Royal Newfoundland Regiment has a storied past, but of all the stories, none is as captivating or tragic as its advance during the Battle of the Somme on July the 1st, 1916. 100 years later, the event still resonates deeply with Newfoundlanders. Every July the 1st, while the rest of Canada celebrates the birth of a nation, Newfoundlanders mourn their losses in the Great War, and especially those at Beaumont Hamel.